Alright, Sephoria, this is my guide for you for the tank path. It's just my opinion, doesn't mean that everything's correct. But yeah, I'll just go over a few things on my character, and then I'll hop out. And I took some screenshots of your gear, and just give you some recommendations. So the runes are really important. To go over this one, so the Judgment's Healing is one that you definitely want to get up. Although it's really for healing others. So if you target someone when you're playing, say you're in a raid and you see that the second tank's really low, you can save them in a tight spot. Definitely want to have Gloria Paladins. That's our class skill. It can really save you even over a shield if you can pop that off. The duration's really important, obviously, but also the HP regen. I mean, I only have mine at 23%, but I can basically pop that and not do anything, and my health will just keep going up and up and up. Oops. So this one's another one that you want to get up. Let me move this down. So ruling, it doesn't heal you, but it actually regens HP for the teammates around you. And the cooldown for Raining Sword, because that is your big DPS skill. That really isn't important for tanking, but when you're soloing things, obviously you're doing PvP, it's nice to have. Now this is something that I saw that you had that was a little low. Divine Guidance is a really important skill for us. Not only does it do AoE damage, but it has HP regen, which you see the instant heal, but the HP regen, the numbers really don't show up. But there's a ton of HP regen skills that we have that if you use all of them, you can solo, Skyblaze normal. You can do that without HP regen once you get to a certain point, but Taurus Sword is a really important, it's shield takeaway. You want to get the cooldown a little bit, obviously the damage if you're going to be using it a lot. Now, ignore some of mine are low. These are low at 32 because I was initially going to be a DPS about a month ago, but then I just don't feel like spending the money to reset my runes just for this. But Endurance of Truth increases your defense. So if your HP is low, obviously you want to pop the HP regen. And also, if you get knocked back because you didn't get out of the circle, like for a Runus, if you get knocked back too far and you are the main tank, you want to be able to get back to the boss as quickly as possible, so you want to have the range as far as you possibly can. You don't really have to focus on getting Raining Sword's damage up over other things. I mean, it gets expensive, as you get higher, but the HP regen, again, is crucial. Rampart of Guardian really isn't that important. I mean, it when you're a lower level, it's silencing the mobs. It helps out a lot, but you're not anymore. And most mobs it doesn't really affect, except maybe in like Scarplane's Heroic, which again you can basically solo that raid. But this one, Indomitable Will, again, it helps out. It heals the lowest players on the team, so you're already using this skill for damage and to take away a shield, and it helps out obviously for team raids, but also definitely in PvP, because it automatically targets the people that are about to die, just to give them a little more health. Maybe it'll save them enough time to pop another pot. Covenant Sword, you really, if I could go back, I would just have these around 20 something just for the HP points, but it's too slow of a skill, and especially in heroic raids when you're tanking, and for example, Skyblaze Heroic Polric, you know, you pop Covenant Sword at the wrong time, you can't move, and if the laser pops up, you're dead. You die, people start bitching. This is something that's you know, you have to read. You may know some of this stuff, but Taurus Sword, again, a skill that you're going to be using a lot. This is good for PvP, but also if you're doing Lords and you need a little more damage. For 6 seconds after Taurus Sword is used, the damage is increased by 40%. Also, Divine Guidance, after Taurus Sword is used, if you're not going for DPS and you're looking for survivability, especially for heroic raids, or the harder normal raids like Foundry and Mad Lab, you get a 10.25% damage reduction. You know, obviously normal damage. This is another skill that you really don't, I mean, maybe for PvP, but if you're looking to tank and you don't have enough, even I don't have enough essences yet, so that's something that I would lower. It doesn't affect, it doesn't work on most hard team raid mobs, or it doesn't work on the bosses either. Definitely want to get the HP regen for Shield of Order, because you do lose a chunk of HP just to use it. So if this is low, you know, and you don't want to use this ever when your HP is low, because it could actually kill you. And this skill here just is, I'm not even sure if this is still applies, but when they nerfed us, I think that they nerfed this rune and just didn't change it, but this just has to do with AoE damage with that. But just really quick, because you obviously know star circles, but obviously you want to focus on, you want to get swiftness up for the stats, the magic defense and the defense. It gets expensive, as you can see, after level 4. It's 8 leaves and 4 circles, but this really helps. It increases, you know, your defense could be over 50%, and that's just your base defense, but spell defense by 50%, spell resist, parry, eventually HP. Just a quick setup. This is my preferred setup. I have the attack in the middle here, and then because I always want to start off with my HP regen skill, because instantly when I'm getting attacked, the first attack the boss or anybody gives me, I'm going to instantly start regenning, and then I'll go to Taurus Sword, because it'll take away their shield, or you know, deal damage and heal other people around me. And if it's a harder boss, I'll go to Divine Guidance, because I get that 10.25% damage reduction. And just a quick explanation of parry. Parry reduces the damage that is incoming by 40%. So you definitely want to have that high. Not so much evade. I mean, evade is obviously useful, but if you're reforging and you get a really nice parry versus and you have one that has evade on it, you want to try to go for the parry, because the evade is just an AoE. That's only going to affect you when a boss has an AoE skill, and usually the healers are going to be available too and ready and know that they're going to have to heal everyone, so you should be fine for that. Now let me pop out to you. One thing I instantly noticed was your crit resist is a problem, and that can be fixed with gems, but you definitely need to get that up, because even for Chimera, especially the second boss, he crits a lot, or crushing blow. And yeah, that'll just basically one hit you. That's actually the second boss of Skyblaze Heroic too. If your crit resist is really low, especially for PvP as well, because a lot of higher level mages, they'll have 60-70% crit, and you're basically you're gonna get melted. I still get melted. My crit resist isn't high enough. Mine's, I believe, 25 or 30%, and that definitely needs to be higher. You don't want your dodge to be too high, because you need to create threat on the boss as well, and you also need your hit at least 115%. I believe for some harder raids it needs to be a little bit higher, but your hit basically counteracts the boss's parry, so or dodge. So if your hit is too low, you're not going to create any threat if the boss dodges your hits. And then if you don't create threat, the boss will turn and kill, others in the raid. Just going over your gear real quick. The ring looks fine if you ever get a little more. The intellect you don't need. The evade isn't terrible, but it could be parry. But that intellect +7 is one of the bigger stats that it's taking, and that could be substituted for something else. Your pendant, it looks good again, except for the intellect, but it's fine for now. When you do get extra stones, I would try to reforge that. Your restored treasure, I would definitely, the accuracy is nice, but that's again really more focused on a DPS or a PvP focused paladin, because that's just how accurate your damage is going to come out. If you see there's a damage range that you have, or an attack range, so I definitely would reforge the restored treasure. Your necklace, the stats are nice, but I know the necklace, all of the reforges will come out with decent stats usually. Obviously some come lower, but there's a thing, I just make this up, but there's a super reforge, and you'll get stats that are twice as much as that, and yeah, you could have a lot more stats than that, but that's a decent necklace though. Again, with this, there's 4 stats is not, you don't need spell damage. You don't, well, I guess you really shouldn't need MP, because you'll have the faction potions to regen that for you. This one's not terrible. Yeah, it's not bad. This one's not bad either, but okay. This one's actually good, because the grade's 208, and that's pretty much the best you're going to get out of that. This one's fine too. Once your grade goes up, this is going to be across the board. Once the grade goes up, I would reforge. It's more based off of the actual rating of it. The rating I'm gonna call it the rating. The rating would be the A grade. No, yeah. So let's reverse that. Once your grade goes up to like S or SS, I would reforge, but also your grade affects that as well, but not as much as the grade. I would reforge. This is expensive to reforge. Just has a nice defense. I wouldn't reforge this yet until your grade goes up to S or SS, but you don't need agility. Yeah, your shield looks pretty good. The helmet, it adds a lot of HP. That was good that you have that. Yeah, that's good as well. The breastplate, I would 100% reforge to this. So the breastplate is where you're going to get a lot of your. I would definitely upgrade this as well, because your breastplate and your sash and your shield is where you're going to get the most defensive stats. And the good reforges on them have double like this one here. It'll look like that: double defense, double magic defense. This, for some reason, I believe that shoulders are hard to reforge. They always come out with crappy stats, but this can definitely be reforged. It's not bad, but I know it's 256. It could be better, but the parry's good. Spell resist, doesn't hurt the HP. This isn't bad, but it can be better. Your breachers, it's good that you have spirit. I mean, I wouldn't. Well, it's SS grade. I would also reforge this up to. You can. Oh, it's divine. The attack's nice though. Okay. That's iffy. I mean, I don't know if I would waste all those, because you're eventually going to want to upgrade this to a legendary, but for now it's fine. Your boots, they're fine. You have the parry. Your van braces, looks fine. Nice attack stats on it. Your sash, it's good that you have defense and magic defense, but you definitely could add more, like I said, a super reforge. Your cape looks good. You have the crit resist on there. Definitely something you want to upgrade, though. It's not too expensive to upgrade it, and HP is really crucial. So these are some of the runes that I took that you really should up. The duration of Glory to Paladins, Divine Guidance HP regen, the range, not so much as all the other ones, but Indomitable Will. The range of your endurance is really low. Taurus Sword damage, just because you're using it so much. The cooldown, the HP regen of the shield, and the damage reduction. So the reason why this one is really crucial in my opinion is because when you parry an attack, so say you have 20,000 HP and the boss hits you for 20,000. If you parry that, that's why your parry rate should be high. It takes away 40% of that damage, so that takes away 8,000. So you're only getting hit for 12,000. And then if you have your Divine Guidance pop, so like for Lords, for example, when you're doing Illusionist Lords, you're going to have Dreadfall. It's a bad example because Dreadfall is a spell, and that's an AoE. But just pretend it's a physical attack. So if Dreadfall hits for 20,000 and you parry that or evade that, you only hit for 12,000. And then on top of that, if you have that damage reduction up, that can add an additional 10. If you get it up high, 15%. So then you're bringing that down to potentially only being a 10,000 hit versus a 20,000 hit. And if you're not topped up, you only have 15,000 HP left. That can be the difference between wiping the whole thing or not wiping. The last thing, I'm going to pop back to Crusaders. Is I didn't really get a look at your gems, but let me just show you mine real quick. I got a gem bug, and I lost 20 of my gems, so all of my stats are going to be 1.1. Nothing I can do about that. But I have 5 Heart of the Seas. So that gives me a 5% damage reduction already right there. But also it gives me heal, 1.6. And since I'm a tank and I'm not a DPS, there are DPS tanks, but they don't fare unless you're canned weed and everything's maxed out. For the time being, you and I are not canned weed. So healing is you don't ever have to worry about if if anyone ever says you don't have enough DPS, you just say back, you don't have enough DPS. You are a DPS. I'm not. I'm a tank. I'm the one that's taking the damage and keeping the aggro, keeping you alive so you can DPS the boss down. So, but also, paladins are supposed to be healers as well. So I have 1.6, these give me 1.6 heal, but also all of my attack gems are heal as well. So we have 8 attack gems, that's 8.8% heal. With the Heart of the Seas, that comes out to roughly 15% extra healing on top of the 5% damage reduction, on top of the HP regen from your runes, and you know, let me just hop back one more time to you, because sets are really important as well. So you really want to have Plague Infection. I see you have Ghast here, you have Arcane Crystal, which is good because that heals or does damage, and you can redirect the damage. If it's damaging the boss and you need it to heal someone, you can just click and it'll spot. You can heal yourself as well. So you have Armelian, does not do anything for tanks. Ghast does not do anything for tanks. Light of Justice. I don't really think that's needed because I've never had an issue with Crushing Blow. Once you have your parry stat, you know, Light of Justice can be substituted out for another healing set, but okay, you do have Plague Infection. That's good. But that's really the only, you don't need Mana Flame. That's really the only tank set that I see you have. Torture, a trash set, in my opinion. I don't like Torture. That's really a DPS set. Adversity, well, okay, you can't really swap that out. But yeah, that's about it. If you have any other questions, just hit me up in game. Sorry that this was so long, but yeah, let me just, oh, this isn't my, I guess lastly go over how my rotation is. So if I'm on a, when I'm fighting, I'm going to start off with Glory for the HP regen, go to Taurus Sword. If it's a big boss, I'll instantly hit that for the extra 10.25% damage reduction. Then I'll go right to Raining Sword because of the shield and the HP regen. And if your skills are down, so, if you're doing Goblin Camp, Mystica, and you really need to heal real quick, this skill here, see how all my skills pop back up. You can only use it once, but it's a lifesaver. It really is. And then right after Raining Sword, I'm sorry, I would use Shield of Order. Not Shield of Order. Endurance of Truth, just for the damage reduction. Yeah, and just the DPS really don't need to, but for as a tank, just try to watch all the raid videos. You take an hour of your night, you can literally find out every single tank video on YouTube, and knowing the mechanics is crucial. Because sometimes when someone explains it to you, they will either miss something or they won't really explain it well. Anyway, I think I've gone on too long, but I think you should get a good picture of everything. All right, man.